Good morning, senior home business community. This is Matt and Brittany bringing you the Senior Placement Business Live Show. We're super excited about today. We're going to talk about touring communities. We're going to talk about the senior placement business in general, how wonderful it is, how it's just encouraged us along the way to help people. And we just want to encourage you to look more into it. And before we get into touring these communities and the 5 areas that you should look for as a placement agent or a family, Brittany, let's go ahead and show our video of the Senior Placement Institute. We're super excited. This thing has 42 modules, ongoing coaching. Yours truly does a little bit, but the girl over there in pink, I think that's pink, Brittany, she does the midweek collaboration meetings we call roundtables. So if you want coaching, bring your questions to the table, how to sustain your business, how to grow your business, man, it's the place to go. Let's get into it, Brittany. Here we go.
People turn 65 in the United States every day.
This is your golden opportunity to help people and to provide solutions for seniors.
I'm Brittany Moore, Senior Placement Specialist.
I'm Matt Stafford, founder and president of Senior Home Business.
And this is the Senior Placement Institute.
We started the Senior Placement Institute because the need in assisted living is enormous. And we need someone just like you to help provide solutions for seniors.
We provide 42 modules, one-on-one coaching, weekly collaboration, monthly workshops, and we have several hundred students in our community across the country.
It's the most comprehensive senior placement course in the country.
You can expect to make anywhere from $95,000 to $120,000 doing this role part-time, and you can expect anywhere from $250,000 plus doing this full-time.
We've had students make $34,000 in 1 month.
And their access to the course is unlimited.
The Institute has been key at my success. I could not have done it without Matt Stafford and his step-by-step guide. You're going to get placements.
We teach you everything from learning how to get a client all the way to invoicing a client and moving a client into a community.
How to generate leads, how to get seniors into your pipeline.
We teach you unique ways to find seniors in your community to ensure they get into the right place. How to follow up and stay in touch with clients to be an advocate and a support system for them for life.
It's a one-time fee. You have unlimited access into the course and unlimited coaching. We started in 2019 before anyone else started. We 4X anyone in this industry.
We are here for you as a community and have students all across the nation that are here to support you in your journey starting your senior placement agency.
We have countless students that have gotten paid. You just need to take a risk. You need to take a leap of faith and trust in yourself.
Start your journey with Senior Placement Institute today.
Oh man, start your journey with Senior Placement Institute today. Brittany, thank you so much for closing that video out. And if you want more information about how to get involved in this industry, you can click down below. There's a link to schedule a call with yours truly, with me, or you can join a online senior living group and all that stuff. You can listen to a podcast and all that boring stuff if you want to as well, or watch more YouTube channels. Don't watch more YouTube channels. Stay on our channel. Watch more YouTube videos. Right, Brittany? All right, let's get into it. I know people come today go, we didn't come for all that stuff. We come how to tour a senior living community. And Brittany's got what we're saying here, guys. This is not something we just pulled up on the internet and Googled information. Okay, this is information that we have gained over the years. I have moved several hundred seniors. Brittany has as well. And these are the top 5 things that families are looking for. And we're going to elaborate on each one of these points. But if you are looking for your family out there for assisted living memory care, you want to hone in on these 5 areas. And if you're a senior placement agent or aspiring agent, then you want to look at these 5 areas as well. So Brittany, let's get into it. The first one is quality of care and staff. Oh my goodness, man. Is it all about the care and all about the staff? What's your experience when you walk into a community, Brittany, and how do we gauge, how do we determine if the quality of care is there? Because I know each one of these communities are going to put their best foot forward. And no offense to the communities out there, I would do the same thing, right? It's just you only get one time to make a good first impression. But how can you determine if they got good quality of care and staff?
Yeah, it's a hard question because, like you said, when you go into a tour, it's going to be a highlight reel. Should be. That's just what the industry and anybody would do. There's a couple ways to tell. So if I'm with a family or if a family's touring on their own, whatever it might be, I look for friendliness of staff, cooperation of staff, the cleanliness of residents. So if you are kind of by residents and happiness of residents, just everything that you kind of see as a full picture is a really good way to see the quality of care. We pay attention to the med techs maybe that are walking with the medication. Are they friendly? Are they happy to be there? Is it an environment that you would like, of course, your loved one to go to, but also do you just feel a comfortable atmosphere within the caregivers? So, I always try to say hi to the caregivers or encourage the family to say hi to caregivers and just see what really is going on, because sometimes, like we did say, it's kind of a highlight reel. They put their best foot forward, but that doesn't always happen to the caregivers. You can always kind of look at things, and we'll go into more, but it kind of all trickles down. Quality of care also goes along with cleanliness of the place, the smell. There's so much that goes along with this, but really just having like your gauge up, be engaged with whoever's touring, but really just look around at your atmosphere at the same time.
Absolutely. You can tell you guys when you're on these tours how the caregivers, staff are interacting with current residents. I determine when I go through a tour, walking along, do they acknowledge me? Do they smile? Are they helpful? Go in the dining area, see there in terms of service. You can go through, and we'll get into a little bit of cleanliness. I know we kind of just hit on that for a little bit, but that's kind of one of our points down below. But yeah, I mean, the quality of care, and I've done this. Now, I don't encourage everyone to do this, and timing is of the essence when you do this strategy. But if I can give you a pro tip, this can be risky because you do not want to offend the community. But I have been known at times, I haven't done this in a while, but I've been known where when it's appropriate and I have seniors coming over and they're curious what you're doing, you're walking around their community, right? So they might come over and say hi. And so what I will do sometimes, Brittany, is go, hey, how are you doing? Engage with them. And, depending on where they've come from, maybe they came from the dining hall. And I would say, hey, you just had lunch. How was lunch today? So I'm asking a very safe question, but I'm expecting a honest answer. And that's one thing about seniors. They're going to give you an honest answer. I mean, it's like kids, right? Not the seniors are kids, but it's kind of the full cycle of life, right? Kids are going to be completely honest. They love something, they don't love something. Same with seniors. And you can ask in such a way that it's just conversational, not that you're interviewing their residents. Please do not do that. That's disrespectful to the community. Might be a good way for you to be looked upon, frowned upon in their community as far as you're walking around trying to interrogate their residents. But just conversationally, you see somebody in the hall and they come up to you and they've come from the, let's say they got a theater in the community. You can just simply ask, hey, what movie did you guys watch today? And you're going to get an idea, and they'll probably elaborate on the popcorn, elaborate on some activity they just did or whatever. I just let them talk because I'm not trying to interview them, but I want to know the quality of care and staff in their community. And by saying all that, it provides to me, Brittany, clarity about the structure of the community, meaning I don't necessarily have to meet the executive director at that point and kind of figure out how things are running. Is it chaotic? Is just everybody's kind of walking around doing their own thing, or is it very much organized? And that is what you really want. And you can look for that in the quality of care. Now, some of you guys can look at internet reviews and things like that. That's cool. But man, there's no greater review, no greater indicator of how the quality of care and staff are than coming from a resident. You really want to engage with the resident. And again, you might get something that it might push you back a little bit. Oh my gosh, I didn't know they were doing that. Take it with a grain of salt. They might just be having a bad day. They might just be, going through a moment physically, medication or whatever it is. But I look at that as a great indicator of the quality of care and staff. But man, a lot of it too, Brittany, is the countenance on the faces of the staff. Again, I mean, you can, whether you go to a hospital or go to a senior living community, you go to any other business, right? Put yourself in the environment where you are. Is it one of friendliness? Is it one of they're welcoming you? They're going out of their way to help you, things like that. They really can't stage that, because I know a lot of times communities, and again, communities don't, hit me up too bad on this. And I get it. I probably would do the same thing if I own a senior living community. They oftentimes will stage their tours. So, you walk in, it could be like a 3-ring circus going on, a concert over there, bingo over here, and some seniors over having coffee and chit chat, and looks like they're playing some board game or whatever. It's just, and then your loved one moves in. You're like, where are all these activities at? I signed up for this place, but the activities are come and gone. but that's okay. But you want to make sure the quality of care in the staff. Like if you are somebody that's moving your loved one into a community, I would do my due diligence and make sure when I'm on the tour, look for these things we just mentioned, but I would also sit down with the staff, and not only at the time of contract signing, but before that, and make sure I get a good vibe. I get a good feeling, right? Some of you guys, it's just in your gut. You're going to kind of know this is not the place for my mom, or it is the place for my mom, or it's a good possibility that she would like this community. And so the quality of care and staff, it really goes without saying, but you really got to put that at the top. Number two, Brittany, safety and security. I noticed one community in my area, Brittany, that they actually have security cars out front, at least one during the day, sometimes two at night. And they got a security guard on the inside, and he has a handgun. It's crazy. I've never seen anything like that in my area. But that's what's going on. But how important is it for safety and security for a family when they're thinking about putting their loved one going into the community?
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, that's on the extreme side. I've never seen that either, but most communities will have somebody there 24/7, obviously either manning the front door or being there at the front desk. A lot of doors lock around 8 p.m. roughly, so no one can come in and out unless they check in or do a buzz system. So it's good to know what their safety precautions are, what's their security like. Do the family members get their own key fob sometimes to get in the community? What does that look like? Does it match with the lifestyle that your loved one has? I've had clients that like to come and go. I've got one, she stays out until midnight. She goes to the bands. She was in assisted living and she drove
Well, you got a resident that stays out to midnight?
In the area. So she would come back. Yeah. She would come back. So it was like, did that work for her? Was there safety measures and security? That's kind of a rare case, but was it something that worked for her? So I think also on safety, a big thing to look for is their pendant system. Some smaller communities don't have it, but do they have something where if the residents need help, can they press a button? It's basically like life alert for people that aren't in this industry yet, or families. That's a good way to put it. Do they press the button and does it track them to the exact place? What does that look like for safety? That's security purposes too. I worked in a community, we would have people that would fall out in the parking lot, unfortunately. Can they press that button? Do we know where they're at? They can't go to Walmart and press the button. I've had that happen, but they can do it inside the community. What are those measures and what happens like when they press those pendants? What's the safety precautions? What's the protocol? I think another good one to point out is natural disasters. If you live somewhere that has tornadoes, for example, earthquakes, like do they have protocols for that? Most should. I know back in one of my markets that there's a lot of tornadoes and we had a ton of protocols that our residents that were not ambulatory. Well, what do we do if somebody can't get out of their apartment? If there's a fire, if there's a tornado, what do we do? So I think that's another thing that is good to check into if you're in a place where natural disasters happen.
Yeah, definitely. Let's go back to that pendant thing because how often you change the battery in those things? I don't know, but you want to find out because my experience and a lot of stories I've heard, not necessarily my residents I've placed, but just stories I've heard over the years. And when I used to work for a large community, we had a situation like this where the pendant actually did not work. And I don't know how often you change those batteries, but it's kind of like smoke detectors in your house. I mean, I think those smoke detectors in my house kind of beep at you, let you know. I don't know if dependents do the same thing. Maybe it's a red light that pops on, but as something as a family member out there, you want to make sure the pendant that your loved one is receiving, make sure the battery's been changed. And how often you need to change those batteries because that is their way of communicating in an apartment. If something goes south, if they fall, they just need immediate attention. I believe most communities are really good at responding to the pendant, but man, they cannot respond if they don't hear, right? If they don't know, they can't respond to something. So you just want to make sure that now the pendants, I mean, it's kind of a thing goes around. I mean, do you hang it around the resident's neck? Do you put it on their wrist? They have it in the pocket. I mean, there's a lot of safety issues that go along with that. I mean, in terms of what is the what do you call that thing? The necklace? What do you call it?
The lanyard they wear.
The lanyard, yeah. So what does the lanyard look like? I wouldn't have like a chain or something like that, or a bead kind of thing, but I'd have a lanyard kind of deal. Make sure it's loose. but also make sure it's accessible to the senior. They know. I know seniors practically don't like things kind of hanging around their necks, getting in their way. It can be very frustrating. Kind of think of it yourself. You ever went to an event and they gave you a lanyard and you put it around, and now you're going to lunch and the thing's just kind of dangling off to the side. You're pushing it. It's on the table. You're trying to eat. You're trying to write and take notes. It happened to me not long ago. I went to a conference and, the thing was all in the way. And so I just kind of put it in my pocket. I need to put it in my backpack. I just kind of got rid of it. Well, seniors kind of experience and same frustration with that thing. So you just want to make sure they have it. I got this one care home I think is amazing. I don't know how she did it. I think she actually did this herself. I don't think she actually bought these things, but she has Brittany in her room as a care home. And so 6 residents, and each resident has a stuffed animal. And the pendant is somehow inside the stuffed animal, but anywhere on a stuffed animal, on the body of the animal, not the legs necessarily, the arms and the head, but the body of the animal, which is real fluffy, they could push it, squeeze the animal, and the pendant goes off.
Wow.
And when I was in there touring that community, I've done it numerous times, where the residents, they will carry around this animal with them, in their room. Now it's obviously it's a cord. They've got it where they don't trip and fall in certain places. They can't take the animal all around the community. But while they're in their room, they have that thing. And a lot of the residents had it around their lap, on their bed. They're holding the animal. It just was real comforting. So that's kind of a creative way where communities can have safety and security, or at least safety in the sense of, letting people know they need help, but in a creative way where they can bring comfort as well. So you want to do that. The locking of doors. In my area, Brittany, I think most of them around the 8 o'clock hour, they lock the doors. And so there's always someone there in the community, obviously taking care of residents. And so you usually have to hit a button and acknowledge who in the world you are, who you're there to see, and those kind of things. But you want to make sure those protocols are in place before your resident, your loved one, goes into a community. But let's get into the third one, Brittany: cleanliness and maintenance. I mean, the cleanliness probably goes without saying. And this is one area we talked about staging tours. They don't typically stage this piece because it's either clean or it's not clean. It either looks good or it does not look good, right? I mean, I would personally, if I was touring my loved one, my mom or my dad, I'd make a trip to the bathroom. I'd look there. I tell you, I do that with restaurants. Me personally, Brittany, I will, if I go to a restaurant and I go to the restaurant and I go to the restroom and that thing's dirty, dude, I'm checking out, because of that, my opinion, in my mind, if the restroom is dirty, the kitchen's probably dirty. And if the kitchen's dirty, then my food's going to be dirty. I mean, just kind of the way I think. So that's one good thing, Brittany. Kind of a side note, COVID actually did a favor for me, because restaurants are a lot more clean now. And I like that. I couldn't stand when you go in there and paper towels are all over the floor, and, just you can tell it hasn't been wiped down, cleaned in a long time. But yeah, cleanliness. So you want to look for that. They're going to take you to the model, right? If you're in a large community, that's going to be impeccably clean. That's going to be, tight. They're going to dust those areas whatsoever. But you want to go to other areas. If they got like a library, they got like a theater, like we mentioned earlier, or somewhere else, go in those areas and check how clean it is. Now, it doesn't mean there's never going to be a mess, right? Somebody could have spilled a drink, could drop the napkin on the floor or whatever. But overall, right, kind of walk around and check that. I mean, I don't know, Brittany, am I over-exaggerating? Is cleanliness a good part of a community?
Oh, it's important. I think it reflects, how we kind of talked about, everything goes together here. It kind of just gets this big picture of how the quality of care of the community is, or the quality of the community. Cleanliness is huge, because things like smells, that's evident when it comes to
smells.
So smells, if they're not, and that kind of goes back to quality of care. If you're walking down the hallways and you're smelling odors that would typically be a red flag in a senior community, that's usually not a good sign. Whether it be they're not getting the care they need, whether they're not cleaning their rooms like they say they should be, housekeeping might not be doing the job they need to be doing, like emptying trash cans or just making sure their bathrooms are clean. Super important. I think also with cleanliness, like you mentioned, sometimes they have activities. I've been in places that have older carpet. I wish they would stop putting carpet in some of these communities, because they really do show it quick. I've been in communities 2 years old and they look like they've been there for 10, just because of the floor, the walkers, the coffee spills, You might see some damage on the side of the walls from scooters and things like that. But for the most part, it's huge. I mean, I think it just goes again to the entire picture of the community. But smells with cleanliness, I think, is my number one thing. Are the light fixtures falling off? Are they just keeping up with the community? Is it something that you can tell they care and that everything's kind of just working towards? Nobody will be perfect in this, but also a tip that they don't like this. Communities don't come after me either. They don't like when I ask this, but I ask if we can see an available apartment right now, even if it's not up to par, even if there's still some things left in it, whatever it is. But I do try to ask, can we see an apartment that maybe is not modeled, but it's move-in ready? And if they allow us to do that, it kind of does really show you a normal apartment and not just a model in these large communities. Because like Matt said, I've been in some pretty, I'll be honest, ran down communities, and that's what it was there for, and that was totally okay. But their model looked like something that was a luxury community. So to see a unit that is not staged, I think is really important. The marketing directors don't love to show that because they love to show the beauty. But I also think it's important to show show a family and show their loved one where their apartment could be, because that model wouldn't be their apartment. So even location, I think there's a way to kind of just see the whole picture there.
Yeah. And another area to look for as soon as you walk in is the concierge desk. Mm-hmm. Is it a wreck? Is it a mess? I mean, there's a lot going on, but I'm telling you, you'll get the vibe and you'll get the feeling of what's important and what's not important. If you get invited back to the executive director's office, which you might want to ask so you can talk to the individual, go to her office instead of a conference room. And is the office a mess? That, I'm telling you, if those two areas are a mess, I almost am certain the community is going to be a mess in a lot of areas because it's not top on their priority list. I mean, not saying everybody's got to be clean, like my wife. I mean, I've told you guys, I'm married, 2 dogs. All my kids are older. And so our house is like a model house only because we have little kids. Now it's different when I had little kids. I mean, toys all over the place and things like that. But it's important to people when they pick up after themselves. So there's a couple different signs to look for. Maintenance. You mentioned light fixtures, things like that. If you go into a dining hall and you see 2 or 3 light bulbs are out, one is okay because it may have just gone out. But if you see like 2 or 3 are out and they haven't changed it in a while, why haven't they changed it? If you're talking to a senior, you're hearing about maybe a TV doesn't work. How long has the TV been out? I've had situations where residents have moved into, I remember this one particular care home and the TV was always going out. I remember large communities where, they'll come back and say, we'll get back to that TV. And then a week and a half later, the maintenance guy is on vacation. He's sick today or whatever. And it just gets delayed. Well, that just kind of goes into the quality of life for your loved one. I mean, I know my dad, if he ever goes to an assisted living community, he's got to have a TV so he can watch sports. That's why I love sports so much, is how my dad loves sports. I mean, I grew up watching sports, playing sports, things like that. And so if his TV went out and it was out for a week and a half, dude, that'd be the worst 9-10 days of my dad's life if he couldn't watch TV. And so you want to make sure how quickly they take care of these things, because things are going to break, things are going to go down, but how quickly do they rectify those situations? So number 4, Brittany, is social and recreational activities. I love this one that you need to look for. Look for the activity calendar. Sometimes they'll post it on the wall. They'll always give it to you the day of contract. It might be in their brochure, the collateral. But just, you can see, kind of feel what's going on. I would begin to ask about this because this is so important, especially if your loved one's ambulatory, they're socially active. They want to get into a community with other seniors that they can have conversation with, have fun, play games. Maybe at the point they can hop on a bus and go to a restaurant together, whatever it is. But you want to find out these things. And you want to see more than just what I said earlier about a calendar, because a calendar doesn't say everything. Now, it may tell you they have planned activities or they are hopeful these activities are going to take place. But do you actually see any evidence of these activities? And some of the communities go the extra mile. They'll post pictures like on a bulletin board somewhere of activities they just did. I noticed one community, Brittany, is so amazing. Every month they highlight a senior that something the senior has been dreaming about, whatever it is. One particular senior, check this out. I can't believe they did this, but they went through all kinds of disclaimers and making sure it was okay with the attorneys and everything else. But the senior's dream was to skydive.
Oh.
Now, when I heard that story, I was like, I know you didn't do that. But they went through all the legal protocols and everything, and the senior actually did just that. Now, I'm not recommending senior go on skydive. I wouldn't want to go skydive. That's just me. I don't like being that high up and not sure what's going to happen. So, but something else they've done, like I think others were like a fishing trip or going to a certain amusement park, whatever it is. But every month they highlight a senior, and they take that senior on their dream vacation, their dream activity, their dream whatever. And I think that's so amazing. And so, but Brittany, what other activities do you see primarily in communities that you tour?
Yeah, I mean, you can see the basics, right? Bingo, bunko, dominoes, things like outings. They have some stuff where like people will come in outside of the community, like the high schools, the colleges to help. I've seen musical stuff. So a lot of them are you're going to see the same thing a lot, but I love that. I have one community that does a wow meal is what they call it every month. Each resident, they kind of rotate, gets to pick their favorite meal and the kitchen cooks it. So that's a cute thing. I was going to mention also when you're looking at communities, social media is huge now. A lot of them post. So if you see a community, even care homes, I've seen it do it, where they post the residents, obviously with permission of the current residents, but they post their activities. Like they post getting ice cream on the truck. They post if they go see Christmas lights at the drive-through Christmas lights in the bus. So I always tell families that I'm working with, like, go check out their Facebook if I know, because again, they can say that all day long. I worked in a community where we had the activities calendar. It was the same exact activities calendar every single month with barely little switches. And the activities maybe had 5 people at it. So like, I think activities, to be honest, is probably not the most linear in communities. I think it's almost pretty close to the difference between quality of care. Like I see some that are so great at activities and some that are far from it. And some families are okay with that because their loved ones aren't social, but it's really heartbreaking to see somebody social and a really not social community. So I think activities, honestly, I think it depends on a lot of factors, but they really do vary on how active they are. And that calendar, yes, it means something, but who's showing up? Is it the same 4 people? Are they engaging? Does the I have one activities director at a community. She's 67 years old herself. She literally greets you on the day of move-in. She's like, what do you like to do? So there's just totally different atmospheres when it comes to activities.
Absolutely. I noticed one community, not even my area, that I follow on TikTok, and they're always producing videos of seniors, whether it be an interview kind of format or just some activities they're doing in their community. And I don't know how much business they get from it, but I tell you, I love seeing it because what you said, Brittany, that's social proof that they're actually doing the things they say they're going to do. So yeah, that's a great way to do it. Yeah, I wouldn't have a whole lot of confidence just in the collateral or a calendar of events that are scheduled. Because like you said, it could be 4 people and that's it. Or, it could be the whole community. So that's number 4. Let's get into the 5th one. Dining options and food quality. This would be amazingly important for me. I love to eat. I may not look like I love to eat, but all you got to do is ask my wife. Ask Brittany. She came out here 4 or 5 weeks ago. And, I love to eat. But dining options and the food quality kind of goes without saying. But speak, Brittany, to the fact of dining options, because a lot of your communities, you guys, will have a set meal for breakfast, a set meal for lunch and dinner. But some communities will have a menu. Ooh, I like options. Come on, who likes options out there? I know you do. But what kind of communities have you seen, Brittany, that have options, and what kind of options are you providing?
Yeah, like you said, so almost every community is going to have like a set menu for that day. Usually those change every single day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Breakfast might rotate some just because there's only so much you can do for breakfast. But they also, some communities offer an a la carte style menu. So let's say they don't like anything that's on the menu. They can order things. Typically, you're going to see hamburgers, chicken tenders, chicken salad, soups, maybe just a peanut butter and jelly. They might have a fish, like a salmon or a trout every single day that's available. Baked potato, mashed potatoes, like you're just things that maybe if you don't want, let's say meatloaf for dinner that they're having, you can get a cheeseburger and fries. Or if you want a healthier option, you can get a chef salad. So usually they have those, and a lot of communities will even switch those seasonally. So they might have like a chef salad in the summer, and they might end up having like a stew or something hot in the winter. So definitely ask about that. If you have a picky eater, if you're working with a client that's a picky eater, dining options are huge. Or if you have, I have a lot of clients that aren't big eaters, so they don't want these huge meals. Like if you ever go to a senior living community, you're going to see they're almost 5-course meals for dinner: soup, salad, entree, 2 sides, dessert. Like you could get really full, and 3 meals is just a lot, even for, you know, adults, let alone seniors, that their appetite decreases. So like something, again, like just maybe grilled cheese and tomato soup for dinner. So if you have a small eater, sometimes those large meals are just overwhelming, and they a lot of this generation doesn't like to waste things. They don't want this big meal that they're never going to eat. So check into those options, make sure they're there. I would hope, I really do hope all of them have that option to at least order something different. We don't want seniors going hungry or feel like they have to eat something they don't like. But yeah, there's a lot of options in dining. Just make sure they have those if it's someone that you know that your parents or if your client is really picky.
Yeah, and then the dining options, Brittany, one of the communities that we were at doing our promo video, they have open dining. And so not all communities have that. It's another option for your loved one. Maybe they don't want to eat breakfast every morning at 8 o'clock. Maybe they prefer to eat more of a brunch, right? They want to eat lunch a little bit later, and maybe they only want 2 meals a day, and they don't want exactly at between 12 and 2 or whatever it is for lunch. So open dining might be crucial for your loved one. Well, you have to find a community that is willing to do that, because not all communities are willing to do that, obviously for staff reasons and everything else, but you want to find that. So there's some options out there. The food quality kind of goes without saying. You definitely want the quality. How do you get that? You need to go there and have a lunch, have a dinner. I mean, most of them are going to invite you for lunch. Take them up on that. But you might want to slide in there for dinner, because, I mean, what Brittany just said about the dinner options, I like those dinner options better than PBJ and everything else. So you might want to go in there for the salmon or whatever. I like going into off hours at communities just for touring as well. I've mentioned this on previous videos, because when you go off hours, you don't necessarily have the executive director right there. You don't have all the staff right there. So you kind of get an idea of what's going on beyond the 9 to 5, beyond the 10 to 6 kind of deal. So you might want to schedule a time to go in on off hours. So that's all about giving, just some things to look for as you go on a tour in a senior living community. Students out there, Brittany tomorrow does our midweek coaching collaboration roundtable every Thursday night. And she's going to be going over how to give a tour. Now, it's not these 5 things. It's going to get into the details of the business. If you're more interested, as you're watching this video, about the details of this business, how to do this business from the comfort of your own home, helping seniors at no cost, no obligation, and making a pretty good lucrative income, then you want to click the link below, schedule a consultation with myself, and we would love to tell you all about this. And we're so thankful you were with us today. Until next time, God bless.